So I'm going to make this video short because you're going to have a longer video to watch for your new writing assignment, which will be a feature story. It's going to be a profile, but I'll get into that when we actually get into the video for your feature story assignment. So let's talk about this week, what you're going to need to know. Pages, read chapters 10 through 17, and on chapter 17, only pages 322 to 333. You can read the whole chapter, but this is what's going to be on the quiz, and this is what's important for you to know for your writing assignment that's coming up. Take the quiz, begin your feature story, which I'll get into in the next video that you're going to watch. And before I move on to the last one about reading the Washington Post, I want to just backtrack for a second for AP style. You were introduced last week. It can be tough. I know it can be tough. You know, it doesn't come easy. It's not something that's instinctual. You have to actually just practice and learn it. So if you struggled with it, it's just a practice thing. The more you do it, the better you'll get. With that said, even if you did do well with it, remember, that wasn't just a one and done for that week. You're going to be building on that each week, right? So for this hard news story, which I'll actually talk about in a second too, for the hard news story that you turned in that I said you should be editing it for AP style, obviously I'm going to go a little lenient. Next time for this next assignment, I'm going to be much stricter because now I know you've been exposed to it and I'm expecting that you're going to keep practicing it. So keep that in mind, you know, bookmark that page, that helpful guide that I gave you. Revisit it throughout your writing. You should be revisiting it because it is something that you're going to have to keep practicing to keep it in your head and to really learn it and grasp it. And that goes to when I tell you to read the Washington Post. You know, there is a reason for it. You should start to now apply some of these lessons that we're learning in class and connecting it with what you're reading actual people working in the media doing. So, for example, AP style. Now when you read some of these articles, look for how they do AP style. I mean, you've been exposed to some of the fundamentals. Look how they apply that. When they capitalize titles, somebody's title, and when they don't. How they continue to use the person's last name after a first reference. How they write out dates and numbers. You know, start to look, when you read these articles, start to look and say, oh, okay, good, I remember that. That was something I learned with AP style. And start to make those connections. And the more of those connections you can make, it's just going to reinforce what you've learned. Also, look at how a lot of the stories are done. Look at their lead, right? You should be reading when you read those Washington Post articles, look at their lead. It's one sentence. Did they get the who, what, why, when, where in there? You know, how much did they get in there? Because you don't need it all every single time. How much did they get it in there? If they didn't put it all in the lead, where did they put it? How far down is the nut graph? What's in the nut graph? Did they explain it well? You know, start to analyze these stories. How is the story structure? Where do they start to introduce quotes? What kind of quotes did they use? You know, all these lessons that we're learning in class, you should be reading a few of these articles now and starting to make these connections and connecting the dots. And again, it's going to reinforce everything you're learning in this class. It's so helpful to see what you're learning, see it being actually practiced. All right, so Joe's going to get to the hard news story too. For your hard news stories, I will have those graded this week. I'm not sure by when. For some of you, it'll be earlier than others. But by the end of this week, you will have your hard news stories graded with a lot of feedback. Please, please, please take the time to read the feedback and understand it. If you don't understand something I said, message me, and we'll go back and forth, and I'll make sure that you understand it. But the feedback is crucial because that's what I'm going to be looking for in your assignments. I'm pretty much giving you a roadmap. I'm telling you this is what I'm expecting. This is where you need some improvement. I'm expecting you to improve on that. So read the feedback, make sure you understand it, and more importantly, apply it on your next writing assignment. You know, each writing assignment should be getting better than the last one. So make sure that you are taking that feedback, that you do understand it, and that you use it effectively. And if you do that, you're going to see that your writing only gets better, and that means your grades are only going to get better too. All right, like I promised you, very short video. I'm going to get more into your next writing assignment, which is your feature story, a profile, and that will be in the next video.